she's Rick the critic, 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 Rick the critic. When she come into your place, yo, you best not forget it. She gon' tell you how it is, cause she's Rick the critic. When she all up in your city, yo, you best not forget it. Let you know if she like it, and if she get with it, let the whole world know and be the first to admit it. Let you know if she's good and if she dig it, cause she's Rick the critic, Rick the critic, Rick the critic, Rick the critic.
Hi, I'm Rick the critic. I'm really kind of like not all excited today. I heard some very disturbing news. You know, there will not be summer school for our children this summer. And it just kind of, you know, I'm thinking a few things, you know. I mean, they're going to save money, they think, in one way, but it's sure going to cost us in the long run, because it's going to have a rippling effect, you know, for a long, long time. It's kind of like Proposition 13 years ago. You know, we'll let the, the taxes for the house, which ended up, our kids ended up suffering. We lost a lot of programs. I'm a little saddened because education is really important. It's important for our future, our children. We depend on our children to grow up, become adults, and actually assist us in running this country. So I'm thinking that without summer school this summer, we're going to probably be looking at a high teen pregnancy rate. We're probably going to look at a lot of vandalism. We're going to look at a lot of gang activities, because children are not going to have anywhere to go. They're going to be stuck in the house, and if they come outside the house, they're going to be forced to deal with some situations that they normally wouldn't have to do because they'd be gone away to summer school. We're going to find not only that, not to mention the jobs as far as the janitors, the school librarians, and the school teachers that assist during the summertime to teach school. We're going to really, it's going to really hurt us a lot. I cannot stress enough to you how it touches me. It is just so important that there are programs. So today we're going to be talking about some of the measures or some of the things we can prevent. The police department is going to probably have a lot on their hands this summer. We're going to have a lot of things going on because they're going to be just a lot of children that, like I said, you're going to have good children possibly get caught up in very bad situations because they have nowhere to go. The Catholic schools, I'm told, are going to have their doors open, but then we're talking about a price. I'd like to know, you know, what the heck happened to summer school? I mean, why do we have to pay? Why do teachers have to be laid off? I was in LA yesterday, and I saw, if I didn't see 2 schools coming up, I mean, from the ground up, I'm talking about groundbreaking, you know, built, you know, just built, I mean, schools. So my thought was, if we don't have teachers, if we can't pay them, and we're closing down this, why are we still building schools? So I had to ask myself, you know, what is the motive? What is the motive behind all of this? I'm really sad, and I just, you know, normally, guys, I'm a little more, but today I cannot believe that we will not have summer school. So I'm thinking that some of our good students will probably pour into, you know, the parents will probably put them into the library. That's going to leave our librarians probably, instead of them being able to check out books and do the things that they normally do, they're going to have to keep, you know, an eye on, you know, our children, because there are going to be so many of them. Not to mention, when you're talking about a loss of wages and people losing their jobs, now you're talking domestic violence in the household. Now you're talking other problems because now there's a loss of wage in the house, if not 2 two losses of income. So we're going to be faced with a real serious time this summer, and because of that, let's try to be a little more understanding about what's going on. And I'm telling you this because as we're faced with angry people and we're driving down the street and they're flipping us the bird and they're, screaming and they're angry, instead of reacting and, just kind of going off and going back into it, let's just kind of take a little time to breathe in, breathe out, and just kind of, ignore some of the things, because there's going to be some really angry people out here this summer, and not just because of the job. Some of them are angry without all of that. For instance, I'm not a Laker fan, but I saw I looked at television and just in channel surfing, I saw where they had gone into some stores and vandalized the stores, and then some of it come in and had a store owner was there. They broke into the store and started grabbing a bunch of stuff and leaving. And all of this, I heard the police say, we've got detectives, overtime, to bring these kids in for, going in there in the store shoplifting. Well, come on, we really have more serious problems out here than shoplifters. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't be caught, because I think one guy suffered $4,000, in damage, which is really not a lot, but still, we don't know his situation. I mean, $4,000, on a daily basis could be pretty costly. So, we're not making light of that. But what I am saying is that the couple, what are we talking about? A couple of detectives? You don't need 12 detectives on a real small case like that. Actually, you got 2 detectives, and if you get 1 kid or you get 2 kids, they'll roll over on the rest of them, and as a result, you bring 1 in, you pretty much have got all of them in. It's not going to be this real big, you need all this manpower to catch these shoplifters and these vandals. So, that in itself. And then you're going to get this cry from the public about your children being mistreated and the police harassing them. I can see the big picture, and I could see how this thing could really play out. It's hot. It's, things are happening, and kids are just kind of hanging out because they don't have a place to go, and police stops them, and it's like, hey, what are you guys doing? Why are you here? What are you doing? And one thing kind of leads to another. It's like, why are you harassing them? Well, hell, they're standing on the corner. So summer school, Mr. Governor, was really a stupid idea to eliminate, to eliminate the income of teachers, to eliminate the income of something that is so vital to our state and to our country. It's just appalling. So I'm really, 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 I could just choke our governor. But rather than that, I'm asking you and others to write letters. Letters are very, very powerful. We don't think they are because we think that, they don't. But let me tell you something. 1 letter, 2 letters, 3 letters, the more letters we send, the more we send out a message saying, listen, we are really not comfortable with this. I don't want some things to happen to our children before we make a statement. And oftentimes we wait until one of our children, something has happened to them, and then we want to take on, this, oh gosh, the police did this, the police did that. I don't know if you remember, many years ago, there was a young attorney, pro bono, took a case. The case was the Detweiler case. And what happened was there was a man and his wife and child. His wife was pregnant. He was trying to rush his wife to the hospital, and he had a white flag on the antenna to let the police know, or anybody that was trying to stop him, that he was, it was an emergency. He was trying to get to the hospital. He was trying to get his wife there because she was in labor. Well, the policeman stopped him. It was in Watts. The police stopped him, and when the police stopped him, he's trying to explain to the officer, listen, my wife has got to get to the hospital and blah blah. And so the police officer is in Watts, and he's nervous. He's nervous, and they have a right to be, guys. Come on, let's keep it honest and let's keep it real. They are a big bullseye. They are riding around in a black and white car, highly visible for anybody to pluck off. So they do have a job, and it's a dangerous job. So when the police officer stopped him, he said that, he was nervous. He took his gun out, and he's got the gun, and the car jerked. And when the car jerked, he shot the man and he killed him. So it was a wrongful death. The attorney that handled it was, like I said, pro bono. It was Johnny Cochran, and it was one of those cases that put him on the map. He became district attorney, and then, as we know, he also did the O.J. case, and later on he died and so forth. But what I'm saying to you is that in that instance, there was a decision. Now, I don't know what the officer was thinking. I don't know what the man was thinking. I can only imagine. But in that moment that the car jerked and the gun went off, that particular officer, I'm sure, it probably was just as devastating to him and his family as it was to the wife who was there pregnant to see her husband shot and killed, and to her child in the back seat who also saw that. So what I'm saying to you is that in an instance that things sometimes we can't take them back. And I'm saying all of this because when your children are out, and especially mothers, and I really want to because I am a mother, our sons have a tendency, we have a tendency to nurture and we love our sons, and it's a beautiful thing. But mothers, this summer, let's be very, very careful. Because see, if our sons are in the wrong place at the wrong time, it could easily become an incident. If our sons are not doing something or someplace else in a productive situation, then, these things happen. And I'm saying this because our governor has put not just African Americans, not just Hispanic, Latinos, not just Caucasian, he's put all of our children in a situation where they could walk down the street. And you know what? Two people, if one kid is walking down the street or one child is walking down the street, they could get harassed. But a lot of times children like to group up. So if you're looking at two children or three young men and they're walking down the street and they've got on t-shirts because it's hot and they're walking and you know how kids dress today, and they get pulled over, that instant, we don't know what's on the officer's mind. We don't know what that one instance could do. It could be life-changing for some mother or some parents or even for the police officer and his family. I'm talking about this because we always have, a lot of times, I was talking to a lady today and we were talking about sons, and her son is just graduating from high school, and sometimes as mothers we want to protect. It's in us to want to protect. It's in us to want to nurture. That's how God made us. He made us as nurturers. He made us that. What I'm saying to you is that fathers, they have a different way of raising their sons. They may take a different course of action than a mother may take. And sometimes we cringe. But what I want to say is this, is that it takes a man to raise a man. And if your son is 40, 50 years old and he's still at home, there's something wrong with that picture. If your son is in and out of jail all the time and you keep taking him in and he keeps going back, it's something wrong with that picture. You know, and I'm not saying that that makes you a bad parent, but what I am saying is this. You know, look at the whole picture, look at the whole overall situation and assess it as it should be. If your son is involved in a gang, if he comes in the house and he's got tattoos, if he's got on red, if he's got on blue, that is an issue, okay? That is a problem that you need to sit down and you need to address, because it is going to be a long, hot summer. And you know what? We don't want to encourage, we don't want to intimidate, we don't want anything to invoke any kind of reaction that we will be crying for later on. I'm a mother. I cry for others. My girlfriends that have children, they cry for me. I mean, we're mothers, and I just cannot, I just cannot say it enough. You know, we have to be, you know what, it is in a man's nature. I don't know, last week we talked about Steve Harvey's book, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. But I want to kind of flow a little bit deeper on that. I mean, and it was great. The book was funny. I loved it. But I want to say too that a lot of times that we as mothers and parents, and when I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself too. Oftentimes we're responsible for, you know, the outcome. And sometimes we may be too hard, sometimes we may be too soft. But what I am saying is this, is that mothers, when your sons leave out the house, if their pants are hanging and you can see the back of their behind, you need to stop and you need to address that. If they go out the door and they have all blue and a rag in the back of their pocket, you need to stop and you need to address that. If your son has on all red and he's walking out the door, you need to address that. If your son comes home and you have a kitchen full of groceries and your refrigerator is full and you or your husband are not responsible for that, that needs to be addressed. These are very, very, very serious times, and because of the serious times and because of the seriousness, it is just very important and vitally important that we stop our children when we see something that is not, you know, something that's just not quite right. So let's not make excuses this summer. Let's have a safe summer. Let's try to make it, you know, one of those things. Yes, he did say no summer school. So that means that there won't be any programs. But you know what? Instead of those programs, let's do some things at home. You know what I'm saying? Let's start eating together. Let's start sitting down at the table, having dinner together. Let's start making a game. There are a lot of people out here that are doing a lot of important things and doing things that our children can be involved in. We over here at the station, we often have, you know, children come in and they want to help. Sometimes just a volunteer situation is a good thing. It doesn't necessarily, everything doesn't have to be monetary. They can sometimes come in and keep themselves busy. And I can tell you this, that everybody here at the station has a list of things that your children can do to stay out of trouble. No, we don't pay any money. But I mean, there's plenty of floors to sweep, there's plenty of cable to roll, there's plenty of stuff to learn around here, and our guys around here are just really, really, really good guys. So I'm telling you all this, and I'm saying all this because this summer is going to be a very serious summer. It's the first summer without summer school, and I am looking for radios to come up missing out of cars, and a lot of things that children just wouldn't normally do. Like I said, we're going to have a lot of good kids caught up in bad situations because it's not a whole lot to do. Where are you going? Hey, it's Mike Bingley. You just missed it. We had food.
Mm-hmm. Food.
Yeah, listen. Oh man, look, I ate at Dan Tanner's, best best authentic.
What's this? This work?
That is a fly swatter, and you click, see on the side there, you click it, you put your finger on there and you see the thing, and it's supposed to
work.
No, I haven't seen it do anything. And we usually have a pesky fly in here that I haven't seen.
Pesky flies, kind of like me, huh?
No, never. Never, never, never. Are you going to do Altadena Town Council?
I'm going to do the council. I just thought I'd come in and say hi.
I'm so glad you stopped in to see me. Are we going to get together? We're together this week, right?
The 24th,
okay.
Next week.
Are we eating? I mean, we're talking about food this week?
Yeah, we're eating. Are we eating?
Yeah.
Tell me, are we eating?
Yes, we are eating.
I got to run. I'll
Thank
see you later.
Mike, for stopping in.
All right.
Say bye to Mike. That is we eat out. We have a wonderful time, and we can tell you about all the best eating places. We have a good time. But listen, now that we've gotten the serious part out, and we are just, we're probably going to be winding down, but very serious. And it's sometimes Rick has to be serious. Sometimes it's a serious time. It's not all just funny and just the suck wall and, just all that other good stuff. But anyway, and guess what? We're going to be taking some trips. Larry and I have been talking about trips to the zoo, talking about a bunch of fun summer stuff. And so I am hoping, really, really hoping that this week and within the next couple of weeks, that we'll be talking about some fun things to get involved in. Myself and some of us at the station will be talking to store owners and talking to businesses in the neighborhood, trying to see if they will hire, because I just think a mind is a terrible thing to waste, and I know that if you are idle, that you too can, there can be some things that come up. I am a product of teen pregnancy, and also I was a teenage mother. And I just know that you just have to have things to do. You have to keep yourself busy. You have to be involved. So I'm sure let me tell you something. I'm just thinking about it, but at the Altadena Library, anyone that has any time to volunteer, please go over there, because they definitely, they need help in the worst way. They cannot input everything that should be inputted. They cannot do that. It's very obvious to me that they say that things slip down in the box, so they're going to need somebody to check and double check. They're going to need a lot of help at the Altadena Library. So if you have any time on your hands, parents, if your children have any time, of course, please stop in at the Altadena Library, ask to speak to the person in charge there, tell them that you were watching Rick the Critic and that she was very disappointed in the way that things work around the Altadena Library, and that it was my suggestion that they or you sent your child there to come in and volunteer to assist them. We don't want to lose the library. It's one of the most beautiful libraries next to the Huntington Art Library and all these other wonderful libraries. We have a nice library in Altadena. It's kind of nestled away, and it's the people there. There's Heather, there's Lorene, there's Sue. They are always there to help you, and if you come in at any time and need assistance, they are most always gracious and very available to you. So because I'm experiencing some problems with them, and not because of I don't think it's intentional. I think it's just they're just incompetent, and they're just not doing. I don't know if they've hired some people or they're paying some people to do what they should do and they're not doing it, or it's just laziness. I don't know what it is, but what I am saying is that they can definitely use the help there. That is one of the few places that I do not want to see closed. It really pains me when I put them on the suck wall, because they have so many different activities over there. They have storytelling, they have authors that come in and do book signings, they have, like I said, some of the nicest research librarians. I have often at the library down in Pasadena, I have often called and they've sent out things. They're very, very accommodating, but the Altadena Library is very personal, and the people there are just, I miss Michelle. She clearly was a great light in the place, and she was just a really, really nice. But she's now, I think, at Bob Lucas. So if you get a chance, don't forget about Bob Lucas. Bob Lucas is an African American, so take your children over in that library. It is a smaller library, but take your children over there and they can see the picture of Bob Lucas in there. And also, they have a lot of things to offer. They don't have as many things as the Altadena Library is, but we must keep our libraries open. So take your children over there. Let your children volunteer. Volunteerism is a really, really good thing. Do you know what it does? It builds integrity. It builds character. And it brings about a camaraderie with people. Take your, insist that your children volunteer. Insist that they spend some time, especially in their community. This is the community that we live in. And the more that they get to know people, hey, the more that we build a stronger community. And who knows, everybody comes in the library. So if they volunteer in the library, you never know. They might need somebody that might be able to help them at a time of need. You never know. You never ever know who you may need. And just think, your son or daughter might be working at the library and one of the Altadena sheriffs happens to see them walking down the street. Instead of harassing or asking where they go, it's like, oh, that's little John, or that's little Larry, or that's little Jimmy. He works at the library. You never know. So please encourage your children to volunteer. Volunteering is the best thing that you could ever do, and I say it's always important to give back. Now, with all of that being said, I have given all that I can give to you today, and I have received so much from you by you allowing me to come into your home. I am so pleased that we had this time together, and I want to tell you that we're in our neighborhood. We have a quiet neighborhood because of Captain Blow. So I'm excited about that. Encourage volunteerism, have a safe summer, have a great summer. Like I said, send your children by. If nothing else, the people here will put them to work. I'm Rick the Critic. I have thoroughly enjoyed you today. And I'd like to say good night. Have a great day. And as always, love yourself. And I'm Rick the Critic.
She's Rick the Critic, 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 Rick the Critic. When she come into your place, yo, you best not forget it. She gon' tell you how it is, cause she's Rick the Critic. When she all up in your city, yo, you best not forget it. Let you know if she like it, and if she get with it, let the whole world know and be the first to admit it. Let you know if it's good and if she dig it, cause she's Rick the Critic. Rick the Critic, Rick the Critic, Rick the Critic. She the first to admit it if she can't dig it, cause she's Rick the Critic, 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 Rick the Critic.